It's a small world.
Dude, it for sure is. But anyways, Bradley Adams is in on show, in the studio. Good dude, and he loves motorcycles, maybe even more than me, which is a big thing to say. He's made it into a career, which he's that guy.
You make it sound really good, which it is.
I literally just talk people up. That's all. I'm trying to get more companies to sign on, but they haven't yet. But no, for sure. You're the kid that grew up playing t-ball and then went into the MLB. Maybe like a hair lower, but you
know what?
The childhood hobby has become your job.
Yes.
And I think everybody can, like for me, I'm an electrician, and I tell people that, and they don't think, oh, you're really passionate about electricity. I have to tell them, like, I
love light switches.
It's a solid job, and, it pays the bills and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Where when you tell people, oh, I'm a journalist or I work in media for the motorcycle industry, they immediately go, oh, he loves motorcycles.
Yeah.
You don't fall into that position. So I'm really excited. Was it a family thing? How did you get into motorcycles, or was it your own deal?
No, so it was a passion passed down through my dad.
Okay.
So my dad, an amazing human being, very passionate individual. He fell for motorcycles. Probably he got started into motorcycles a little bit late. He was a car guy growing up, going to the drag strip, stuff like that, building cars. And he got into motorcycles probably around early 20s or something like that.
Yeah,
so
late bloomer for sure.
Yeah, and he kind of graduated through the ranks of, he actually grew up some riding around here. Like he would go up into Turnbull, and it was actually a pretty good scene back in the day of people riding motorcycles around this area. And he ended up helping a guy like buy tires. Basically, he wanted to be involved in the sport somehow. So one of his friends that he was riding around with over here in Whittier, he was going out to the track, and he was racing up at Willow Springs Raceway, about 2 hours outside of here, and he just started buying tires for him. He just wanted to be a part of it somehow. And then after a little while, he's like, if I'm buying tires already for this guy, why don't I just go do it myself,
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so that's how he got into racing, and he ended up excelling. I think he pretty much excels at anything he does. But
Really?
my dad is I can't say enough good things about him, but
That's
he got
awesome.
into racing and just started doing really well. And he kind of always floated that line of, like a really strong performing amateur rider / professional.
Right.
He rode for some really good teams, and but at the same time he had a family at home, so he just got married. They had my sister and me a couple of years after that, so he was a family man, and he worked in construction providing for the family, so he could commit a pretty good amount of his attention to racing, but it was never like that 100% that he would have needed to make a full career out of it. So
For sure.
he did that, and he never got me into motorcycles as a kid. He would have kids. He would see kids coming out with their dads to the track, and having broken arm, broken leg, something like that. And he just didn't want that for me. So he's like, when you're old enough to ride an XR100, which was my first motorcycle, he's like, when you can fit on that, you can ride a motorcycle.
It's a solid bike. My family had one too.
Yeah, so
Bike.
that was the first bike, and I think I was 12 years old at the time. So I hadn't ridden a motorcycle up until that point, and
Wow.
he got that for me and threw me out in the desert, and I'll forever remember that day. As all of a sudden just something clicked, and a couple months after that, we converted it into a little road race bike, and went road racing on little go-kart tracks, basically.
Really?
Yeah, and it just kind of went from there. By that time, so my dad retired probably around, might have been 2001.
From racing.
From racing. Basically, my mom said, you gotta be at home for all this stuff.
Right.
The kids are getting older, stuff like that. So
For sure. A lot of traveling, I imagine.
yeah, so the last kind of couple years of his career, he did some AMA pro racing, so traveling the country in a class called Pro Thunder. He rode for Triumph one year, and he rode for Buell
Really?
for the year after that. And that was kind of signed off. He was getting to a point where obviously he wasn't going to go any further than that. And again, providing for the families, he's got to come home and go to work on Monday. So
Right.
so at that point, by the time he got me into it, he was kind of semi-retired, as much as a motorcyclist can retire. Like, you're always kind of hooked to it in some way.
Totally.
But got me into it, and I think the reason why I stuck with it is because he wasn't training me to be some pro athlete or anything like that. Like, my dad, he was literally just making me a better person through motorcycles. Like he was helping me understand life and
was
the world.
So he wasn't. I mean, any kind of sport. I think there's always that dad that wants to live his dream through his kid.
Yeah.
So that was not your dad.
No, I feel like my dad, he lived his dreams. Like he did. He reached a point where he was happy with his career and he felt like he accomplished a lot on a motorcycle, and he just wanted me to experience it. Like the way he put it, he was like, I rode a motorcycle and it changed my life, and I happen to be really good at it.
Yeah.
So he's like, you're my blood. He's like, the chances of you really liking it and doing well at it are pretty high. So I want you to experience it. But it was definitely never, it wasn't that like motocross dad who's like standing in the corner like yelling at the kid as he rides by, like, go here, do this. Like,
do laps.
Yeah, it wasn't that. It was just like it was just something we did for fun together, right? And he just wanted me to experience that part of life and grow through it. We didn't do ball sports. Like I wasn't out like getting life lessons on a football field on Friday nights. Like that wasn't us. So we did that through motorcycles. So that kind of like, I would say, dictated my career path a little bit. And it was just, motorcycles were just something I had a passion for. Yeah. It wasn't like I'm going to be a pro racer. It was just like, hey, I have a lot of fun and this is what I want my life to be. So it was, yeah.
So you still, okay.